All rights for the Honorable Perry T. Cook. We are on chapter 33. Chapter 33, Big Ed's story. As soon as we made it through the Blue River bottleneck, I see Mr. Halsey. He's bringing a deck of cards in his head. He's bridging a deck of cards in his hand. He gives me a quick grin. Then he corrals Mr. Van Leer. He turns him towards the game table and asks, "You play cards? What's your favorite game, man? You play rummy?" He pats Van Leer's back. Mr. Van Leer steadily and nodding. Yes, I play rummy, I have played rummy. He takes a double step next to Mr. Hasley, who keeps sweeping him along. I have a funny thought that Hasley could probably palm Van Leer's head the same way he palms a basketball or a head of a broccoli. Hasley collapses Mr. Van Leer into a chair. Okay, that means it kind of steers him over to the chair and then kind of pushes him down, gets him to stay there. Miss Hayden, if you would please quit playing with your camera and leave that on for me. He fits his own tall self into the one opposite of the opposite means directly across from, okay? Miss Anaya, why don't you take a walk? You're trying to snooze already. No, stand up, take a walk around the classroom. All right, and begins to deal cards. Game on. Across the common, I see Mom and Big Ed. They have staked a claim and circled up 3 chairs in an almost private corner. Mom waves me over. No, you need to go walk around the whole classroom. It's not a punishment. It's a let's get you up and moving and awake, okay? Mom waves me over with big arms. I grab the straps of my backpack so it won't bounce, and I sprint. For the second week in a row, she does not forget. She catches me for the swing around. Honey, all the way around. Just walking like a big circle. For the swing around. For the second week in a row, we hug and have a big blue streak, trying to get everything said in the first 5 minutes. It's going to be a short Saturday visit inside the Blue River Co-ed Correctional Facility. Jimmy, shh. Big Ed is about to tell a story. Mom sits and scoots her chair forward to close our circle tighter. She said, "Jimmy, please be quiet. Pick up your mask off the floor. You're being very disrespectful." And big loop, the whole class. Thank you. Big Ed is about to tell a story. Mom sits and scoots her chair forward to close our circle tighter. She's Big Ed's support person for all things difficult. They do this for each other. Mom knows a lot of Blue River stories. For sure, she knows Big Ed's. I know what he's in for. Manslaughter, same as Mom. I feel like a newspaper reporter, and maybe that's good. I have my camera in my lap just in case I get writer's cramp. It's not the fanciest, but I can record for a minute at a time if I need a break. I hope I can write fast enough. I hope the card game goes long. I open my notebook to the page I started for Big Ed. Manslaughter is the crime for killing somebody without meaning to, like accidentally. Okay? I got that from the dictionary. I look up at an old friend. Part of me doesn't want to ask him now, but the other part of me thinks Big Ed wants to tell me. He offered. I say, start whenever you're ready. Big Ed draws a slow breath. Well, the first thing to know is that I loved those kids. He looks into the air, and it's like he floats to a space that is away from Blue River, a different place, another time. I loved every last one of them. They started coming into the alley behind my bodega. Bodega is like a little store, like a little alley store. I need Amy to stop playing with that and get on eating her breakfast, okay? All those hot and muggy Florida afternoons. when school let out, he says. Florida. Now I know why Big Ed thinks the surprise is being very snowy. I don't talk. I keep my pencil moving. Big Ed goes on. They were always looking for something to do. They were athletes with nowhere to play until they picked the alley. They'd go running, hopping, launching themselves off the wall without stopping. Free running, they'd call it. They could swing from the fire escape, throw handstands up the rim of the dumpster. Then they'd go full twisty steps right off my back steps. Bunch of free range acrobats. Big Ed smiled. Take your breath away. I figured there were worse they could be up to. I put out a pair of sawhorses and some sandbags so they could set up a sturdy jump. So he kind of helped them out, right? So that they could get out there and play in the alley and kind of have somewhere safe that they could be kind of flipping around and doing their acrobats. I don't need to get like that. Okay. I lugged an old futon back from the dump and patted up a rough patch of concrete in the wall so nobody would sand and elbow off. I told Henry in the barber shop and Lila in her consignment store, never mind, they're climbing your irons. They're not street fighting, not getting mixed up in games. And the other shop owners did too. It got to where we'd watch the show at our back doors and forget to tend the store. He laughs and then he coughs. Those kids, they'd work up a sweat when they'd come into the bodega, get their snacks and soda pops. We'd sit and talk in folding chairs, cool off in front of the fan. I love those kids, he said again. Most of them stayed good kids. Now Big Ed shifts in his chair. He tilted his head and he sighed. Then the trouble started. Somebody smashed the lock at the back of my shop. It happened twice, then a third time. Then one morning I found broken glass all over the floor of my storage room, and I saw the little window knocked out. My apartment was right there, one flight up, and there were times I thought I heard things. I listened hard, but down in Florida I had a noisy old electric fan, and it hummed up from Easter to Thanksgiving. So it was easy to think my ears were playing tricks on me. But I knew my inventory. I knew things were going missing. Then my cash drawer was jimmied and robbed 2 times in 1 month. I started pulling out all the money out of there at night. One morning, the whole register was gone. Been yanked clean out, even though there wasn't any cash in it. I had to replace that. The kids were still coming to play in the back, and they knew I was having troubles. I talked to them about it, but not like I ever suspected them. Not those kids, not my kids. While I was so busy looking the other way, I was losing money. I had trouble paying my vendors. Big Ed leaned back. He shakes his head. I had to do something. So I broke pattern. I watched there one evening after closing. Hayden, now you're on the meeting twice. What the heck, girl? You need to quit clicking everything. Hey, now don't mess with anything else, Hayden. Just leave it. I figured I'd catch my thief in the middle of the night if I'd stay awake. I didn't even have to wait that long. The sun wasn't even down before I heard the squeak of the new window in the storeroom, and that skinny kid dropped down. His sneakers hit the floor like he was sticking a landing. He comes strolling through my shop, stuffing his pack in his pockets like he was in his own mother's kitchen. I could see the shape of him. I know him. He's one of my favorites, one of the ones I talk to all the time. Big Ed pushes his hands on his knees. He grimaces. Well, my favorite becomes my least favorite, and I get it into my head that I want to correct the whole thing. Big Ed's finger waggles in the air. Then he clenches his hand into a fist. I called out his name. He turned, and there he was, surrounded in the glow of the setting sun as it came through the front window of my store shop. Oh, that boy swore. Then he asked me what I was doing there. Imagine that, Big Ed says, and he throws his hands up. So I said, you want to know what I'm doing here? To stop you. And you want to know why? And I pulled an old gun out from the drawer under my register, and I told him, this is why. I slammed that gun on the counter. His eyes went wide and scared, and I thought, yes, I wanted him scared. So scared. And I banged my hand down next to the gun that everything jumped. Even the gun jumped. I told that boy every owner for the next 13 blocks has one of these, and that one One doesn't know you like I do, and one of them is going to hurt you by accident. And I picked the gun up to stash it, to get it out of the way, because I didn't even want to think about the badness. And next thing I know, the kid is running, headed down the street. I ran after him. Not done making my point, that's what I felt. He was young and fit and fast. I went yelling and wagging that gun in my hand, all full of righteous fit I was. Big Ed stops. My hand is so stiff, so I pick up the camera to record. I watch him on the tiny screen. He pulls at the corners of his mouth, his thumb and his forefinger. This. He closes one eye. They didn't take it? Opens them again. I saw the skateboarder come, the little kid in hot orange t-shirt. He jumped the curb, landed right back on his board the way that they do. Then he rode across the path of my thief, the bigger boy. He veered to avoid the little one. He went into the street. I can still see that. And I feel how all the fight was right out of me the second I heard the screeching of the brakes and that thump. He shakes his head. My thief rolled over the hood of that old sedan that just happened to be coming down the street. In these years, I can't get rid of it. Big Ed squints. I see the boy somersaulting through the air like he's playing acrobats, except for there's something sick about the twist of his body. Big Ed shakes his head, wrings his hands. Then the boy crumpled down on the sidewalk, and everything looked all wrong. I watched Big Ed squeeze his eyes shut. His frown is heavy. I ran to him, but all I could do was hold him while he died. He died? That's who died? I speak before I think. I look from Big Ed to Mom, then back at Ed, and Mom once more. She nods at me. Her eyes are round and sad, and I know, and knowing. She uses an eye knuckle to push away a tear. Big Ed said. Sure as I felt the life going out of him, I felt my own life empty out too. That fight leaves you, and all you wish is that you just go back to do it all over again. You want that moment before the sedan came, just before the little skateboarder rolled into the picture. And you want to see yourself staying inside the shop, opening the candy boxes and filling up your Slim Jim buckets, waiting for a lottery winner. You wish you could decide not to scare the kid. Just let him have whatever he wants, even the money, because that money is but a big old bunch of gray papers, gray greenish papers and some coins. Just let him have it. In my dreams, I've done things 100 different ways. But the thing is, Big Ed clears his throat. You can't rewrite your own story. Right? So he chased that kid into traffic and he got hit by a car. And so that's why he went, because he was chasing the kid into traffic. And so because of him, the kid died by accident, right? Nobody meant for him to die. He didn't want that to happen. But that's why he went to the correctional facility, is because he caused that kid's death, even though it wasn't intentional. It was his fault. So, Chapter 34. After Big Ed tells me, is the title of the story. That fella Hasley, he's a bit of a master distraction, isn't he? Mr. Van Leer chuckles up into the rearview mirror. I watch the flat farmlands go by from the back seat. I've learned to sit behind Mr. Van Leer in the SUV. I feel less obliged to chat with anyone whose face I can't see. Inmates become tight with each other, he says, in a know-it-all way. Powerful system of doing favors, he said, but it's okay. I expected that. And I don't mind a good card game. Troy, it is not your chit-chat time. Please be respectful. More chuckling. I hear him, but I'm not in a listening state. I've taken in all I have room for today, and if I listen to Van Leer, it'll be all the harder to hold on to the important stuff. Like what Big Ed said after he finished the story of how the boy died. I asked him how he got convicted of manslaughter. It's not like you shot him or pushed him into the road, I said. But Big Ed said the presence of the gun was the factor because he scared him, resulting in death of a child, no less. I was outside my shop, so no stand your ground defense. That's what got me convicted. That and the fact that I was filled with guilt and all out of fight. Van Leer interrupts my concentration. I trounced him, he said. Is it possible to hear someone looking in the rear view? I don't think so. I don't look up. I'm still staring out the window, watching a dot of bright pink growing larger in the opposite lane. It's a scooter rider ahead, the one I saw in the Blue River parking lot last week. That fella Hasley, Van Leer says. I beat him about like you and Zoe beat me and Mrs. Samuels at the Pictionary the other night. And that's in spite of the fact that he's a sly player. Blue River is full of tricksters. I pull out my notebook out of my backpack and slide it across my lap. And open it across my lap. I scan my notes about Big Ed's sentencing. Asked to serve time far away from Florida. Take his shame with him, never return. Henry and Lila, others testified for him. Not a danger. My note stops there. My hand was aching up to my elbow across the card game was breaking up. I fished my camera out of my pocket. I took 5 short videos in all. I scrolled to the last one I shot. I watched Big Ed say, I pray the soul my Lord should take, but he won't. Instead, I had the good luck to land here in teeny tiny Surprise, Nebraska. Mom leans towards him. She takes one of Big Ed's hands in both of hers and squeezes. The video ends. Van Leer pipes up again. How about you, Perry? Did they get you into the card game there at the prison? I glanced up in the mirror, but only for a split second. You mean, did they teach me how to cheat? I let out in an undermumble way. What's that you say? Mr. Van Leer, I don't mean to be rude, but I can't talk right now. I rustle the pages of my notebook so he will hear. I'm working on a school assignment.